Mindfulness for Resilience with Mary Jo Federle, funded by the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation and brought to you by SCI&U for Healthy Living.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to our first, as John said, ever mindfulness for building resilience through troubled times. And I know for many of us, this is a really uncertain time, which can bring up a lot of fear and all those other things that can often be difficult to deal with over and above what we already deal with on a day-to-day basis. So we're hoping that this can really give you some opportunities to figure out different choices to help you become more resilient, and some tools that may be great for your back pocket to use all the time, even after the pandemic is over. As John said, my name is Mary Jo, and I'm really proud to be a health coach with the SCI&U program. It's a wonderful program that matches certified peer health coaches with clients to improve their overall health and well-being. And I think it's been just an amazing project. I'm really proud of it and proud of the work that we're doing. And if you want to find out more about the project itself and becoming a client or involved in whatever way, we'll probably be giving that email to you either at the end of this presentation, or you could find it in the email through a link. I just want to really thank Susan, Tiz, John, Sonia, and the whole group for what we've been doing so far, and also for being open to learning more about mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't really a natural thing for us to be doing, but it is a really researched and well-documented antidote, really, for stressful times, which we lived in before the pandemic. Now more than ever, with global fears, as I mentioned, and uncertainty, mindfulness poses a huge advantage for us in terms of how we deal with stress and how we deal with this, impending kind of feeling of uncertainty and even doom. So no matter how you've been drawn to mindfulness, and it can always make your life better. Perhaps it's to enhance your mental clarity or performance. You may be looking for a new way to feel relaxed and more balanced, or you might be feeling trapped in habits that aren't serving your health or your relationships. And the way to feel better starts right here, right where you are, with increasing awareness. Mindfulness can be understood best as a pause. And it's kind of curious that the whole globe has taken a global pause right now. And that pause kind of brings you more into presence, into the present time awareness. And with our fast-paced lives even before, but the consistent demands of our culture and our habitual lifestyles can easily lead us to be disconnected to what matters most. As many of you will know, we're often lost in thought. My mind is often anywhere other than what I'm doing. And it can be lost in thought, either worrying about the future or fretting about the past. It could be lost in self-judgment. But it's really not where our lives are fully taking place. And we're usually not fully present. We can be kind of disconnected from our bodies. You could think of an example like a movie, really intense action movie, and the movie's going on and there's all sorts of stuff going on and you're totally engrossed in the movie, and then all of a sudden the movie stops, and then you remember, oh, my heart's beating really fast, and you feel the kind of the anxiety that's built in your system, and you can notice the people around you and the noises. And mindfulness is kind of like doing that. It's like putting stop on that really, really intense movie, so you can stop and actually recognize, oh, I'm feeling anxious, or oh, I've got this tension building up in my shoulder. Because this kind of ongoing overstimulation leads to anxiety, and it leads to buildup of tension, which can cause health problems further down the road. So when we stop, we can see more clearly what we need to do, how we can respond more effectively, and we can kind of find a place of balance and stability amidst all that chaos. It's interesting, when Harvard researchers studied thousands of people using a phone app, they were studying to find out, what they were doing with their minds and their thoughts. And for the most part, they found that everybody was lost in thought most of the time. But they also found that what made people happiest and made people feel the best is when they were actually fully engaged and present with what they're doing. It's, the zone, so to speak, when we get into that really sweet spot where our relationships feel more rich, and we can really pull in the richness and the fullness of life. So we start in mindfulness really by just arriving in presence and taking stock of everything that is right now. So we remember, first of all, our body. And this might seem for some of us a little bit counterintuitive, because for some of us, we may feel that our bodies have betrayed us in some way, shape, or form. And in actuality, our bodies have actually been traumatized just as much by our spinal cord injury and by the fast pace of our culture than anything else. And so we want to go back to the body, because actually when the body feels safe and when the body has a sense of its presence and where it is and how it is, it can actually feel and respond much more effectively and better. We know that the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system in the body are hugely responsible for how our body functions. And when we're in that chronic state of anxiety, we're in what's called the sympathetic fight or flight response, which is really difficult for us to keep up. It releases cortisol, the heart rate is always racing, and there's various other things that are actually not very productive about that state. But when we can move into that parasympathetic response, our bodies get a chance to restore, to come back into an equanimous place and a place of balance and receptivity to what is. And we can actually really enhance our health and our overall well-being, lower those cortisol levels, lower the heart rate, increase our focus and our clarity. And actually, there's a whole bunch of other benefits that you'll start to notice as you practice more. And it does take practice, because it's actually not our natural state. As we kind of have talked about, we're usually lost in thought. So to become mindful is actually something that we have to practice. We have to get a little bit better at, kind of like learning a language, really. So if I was to be learning French, it would be a bit of a stretch for me to speak it normally all the time. And so becoming mindful is something that we have to take our time out to do, and then we have to practice it to get better at it, so that we can become mindful more and more often, and the benefits become better and better as we go. So pausing to become present is like resetting the nervous system, and we're going to be doing that together today. So I'm going to have you begin by just starting to kind of get comfortable in your sitting position. Find your seat. We're not going to be doing anything scary or anything odd, so you don't need to worry. Everything that we'll be doing today will be totally just what you always do, just breathing and being aware of your body. So you can allow yourselves to get really comfortable, because we're going to be affirming to the nervous system that we're present. And we'll do that by beginning to just, in our comfortable sitting position, allow yourself to get even more comfortable. We're going to bring the shoulders on an inhale and shrug them up toward the ears, and take the upper arm bones back and allow your shoulders just to rest down. Good. And we'll do that again. Inhale, shrugging upward. Exhale, taking the upper arm bones back, and relax the arm bones down. And do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. Let out a big good as you let the shoulders fall down. And now you could place your hands on your lap. Allow your palms to rest in each other, and let your hands be soft. And we'll close the eyes, although if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, You can kind of keep them half open and look softly outward. So no focused gaze, just a real soft gaze. I like closing my eyes. It kind of allows me to go to that space that I occupy inside my body, and you may find that too. So with an intention that's friendly and kind of curious, we're going to be going and just doing a body scan. So with your eyes closed and a real sense of friendly kind of intention, allow yourself to get curious about how you feel right now. So becoming aware of your state of mind, not wanting to change it or do anything about it, just awareness, friendliness. And as you become aware of your state of mind, also notice your state of breathing. Is your breath smooth? Is it a little bit jagged? Could you smooth your breath out just slightly, taking a nice deep breath in? And again, feeling that sound, just let a breath out. And continue to be aware of your breathing, but also be aware of any other sensations. Notice the feeling of your body in the chair. Take a moment to really palpate and feel into the weight of your body. Can you feel your feet resting on the foot plate? Can you feel your seat against the back, the bottom of your sit cushion, and your back against the backrest? And allow yourself to breathe into the weight of your body on the inhale. And perhaps you may notice the feeling of expansion on your inhale. And you may also notice the feeling of a releasing and a relaxation on your exhale. And give into that. Relax your body. Pausing to become present. And just giving into the weight of the body, the movement of the breath, and the simple attention of attending to what is right now. Noticing your thoughts as they move. You could also notice that if you relax the outer corners of your eyes, you relax the space between your brows, you can allow the forehead to just spread toward the skull, creating a sense of spaciousness. And go ahead and relax the brain. It doesn't need to think too much right now. You could allow the sense of your shoulders to relax down the back, the inside of the shoulders broadening, and the exhale releasing the shoulder blades down the spine. You also may notice that as you breathe, the sensation of the breath moving in and out, and the temperature of your breath. Is it warm? Is it cool? Does it cool on the inside, on the inhale? And is it warmer on the exhale? Couple that noticing with noticing the expansion. Perhaps the heart opens on the inhale, and on the exhale, that deepening. Perhaps you also notice behind your closed eyes that flicker of light, and that broad feeling of the collarbones and the eyes as you inhale, and that sense of deepening and surrender on your exhale. Relax the inside of your mouth. The inside cheek muscles release. The jaw becomes unhinged. And the tongue broadens and spreads into the back of the throat. Listen to all of the sounds around you. Pay attention and notice if you can discern the sounds that are close to the sounds that are far away. Noticing with that kind, curious observation As you perceive the depth of sound, appreciate how your awareness can stretch. Notice also your sense of time. Are your thoughts in the future? Are they in the past? It's natural for the mind to wander. Simply pause and bring it back by noticing your breath. And again, the expansion and the contraction of the inhale and the exhale. You might want to add to your inhale the idea that you're inspiring, that you're bringing in the life force, that you're improving your clarity and your vitality on your inhale. And as you breathe out, you may notice that you can feel the sensation of release and that you're at ease. You can even say to yourself as you exhale, I am relaxed and at ease. Soften your face again and feel a gentle smile inside your mouth and at the corners of your eyes. And repeat to yourself, my body's safe, my body breathes, and my body's comfortable. Feel that beautiful still point in your being where nothing needs to be done, there's nothing to fix, there's nowhere to go. And really enjoy that beautiful, neutral place of kind observation. And now do a final body scan and feel again the weight of your body. Remember the shape of your body and where you are in the room, with your eyes still closed, giving into that beautiful proprioception. Feel again the weight of your body and the movement of the breath into the weight. And breathe in with a conscious breath, again affirming the clarity and the inspiration of the life force moving into you. And on the exhale, the pause of releasing and becoming at ease with your exhale. And before you come back into the room, as we finish our practice for the day, you might want to consider bringing this pause of clarity and ease and this attitude toward your day. And as we slowly come back into the room, allow yourself to bring your hands together and rub them vigorously in front of your heart or wherever they land. And then taking the heels of the hand and just pressing them into your eyes gently, feeling the warmth and the energy. And then when you're ready, releasing your hands back down and quietly and slowly coming back into the world. Taking your time. And I think this is where probably you could ask questions or you could send comments or anything that you may want to contribute into the chat, and you'll get unmuted and we can field questions or comments or whatever you may like.
And I just wanted to say thank you to Mary Jo on behalf of everyone. Like so often, I find myself wanting even more. So thank you for giving us taste. Yeah, I'm really grateful to you. And then I'll turn to Sonia to lead the Q&A.
Yeah, I think I do want to make note of the fact that this isn't the only time that we'll do this. So we'll continue to do this and hopefully sort of build our practice and strength together. I do have some questions that we assembled in advance, but I would like to prioritize questions that people may have here. And so if you have a question, there are some options. You could just shout into the chat and I'll make sure that you're unmuted. You could unmute yourself and shout and we could see how it works. Or you could just type your question into the chat. These are all options. But maybe as you formulate questions, I can seed the Q&A with some questions that we had as we were rehearsing for this the other day. So I'll pick maybe the first one from our list, which was, Mary Jo, can you help explain the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Are they the same or are they different?
Okay. And they were all good questions because these gals were my peanut gallery. They were being my challenges. And that's a really good question. Mindfulness could be considered like the precursor to meditation. So meditation is a lot more generally structured, and it's much more calculated in the sense that the technique is very specific to the particular outcome that you're looking for. Whereas mindfulness, the outcome that you're looking for is for your consciousness to become really clear and for your nervous system to relax. That's it. And so the methodology in mindfulness is really a big umbrella, and then we narrow down those techniques into meditation and get a lot more specific. So really, meditating is hard if you're not mindful. You can't actually meditate generally. You can maybe, but you wouldn't maybe get the results that the meditation was after without being mindful. So mindfulness, again, is a precursor. And really what it does is develop this capacity of our being to really rest in a place of equanimity and ease and relaxation, which then when you take that into meditation, allows for the full flowering of meditation to evolve.
Thank you. And again, I'll just reiterate that you can also just interrupt us. Any of you here can interrupt us as we keep asking these questions. Another question on my list is how, if you have strategies to create an environment that is conducive to mindfulness, and particularly if you have a situation where it might be hard to control your environment, you have a small apartment, kids, people coming in and out, how can we create an environment that is conducive to mindfulness or meditation?
So let's just say mindfulness and not meditation. We'll just keep them separate for now. For meditation, I'd probably want to really be, ideally you can be mindful and you can have your meditative stance wherever you are. But initially, because we're not necessarily familiar with it and maybe not, able to create that sense of containment, we need a sense of containment in order to be mindful. The body really needs to feel safe. And the distractions that are general in daily life are why we become unmindful. And we want to try and eliminate as many distractions as possible so that we can really allow ourselves to notice our own inner distractions and hone in on how to be able to detach from them enough so that our consciousness and our awareness isn't continually pulled like a dog on a leash everywhere. So mindfulness then begins by creating a container, and you can do that by putting a set of headphones on and doing your mindfulness practice. You could do that perhaps if you were in a situation where you didn't have the physical space, by creating, an energetic boundary. Maybe you're, putting up some sort of curtain or physical boundary. So those two things I would do. And I would also do a boundary around time and around consistency. So I'd create a boundary that was regular, where you did it regularly and where you did it at the same place and the same time. So then the nervous system is going to start to really feel that container for the practice. Is that the whole question? I think so.
Yeah, thank you. So, John, you have a question. I'm going to lower your hand.
Right. And I'll just point out that I just raised my hand, which is another way people can indicate that they have a question. I've never raised my hand before on Zoom, so I'm excited to have done that. So Mary Jo, I'm curious how you would suggest people can think about barriers to mindfulness practice that might be specific to people living with spinal cord injury. So, you talked about, you used the word proprioception, and, a lot of us, our sense of proprioception can be modified or even, impaired by spinal cord injury. Some of us, when we sit in our chairs, the first feeling we feel might not be comfort, it might actually be discomfort or soreness or stiffness. When you talk about feeling our lower extremity, maybe some of us don't. And so how would you suggest we, think about how to access the techniques that you're leading us in when we have barriers within our sense of our body, at that very basic level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, first of all, the barriers of physicality are really, they're very much something that we can either take them really literally and say, oh, I don't have feeling from here down, or we can say, I don't have the feeling I had prior to my spinal cord injury the same from here down, because certainly there's feeling, it's just altered, and there's proprioception, it's just altered. So from that perspective, I encourage you to think, you speak a different language to your nervous system, maybe from here down or wherever I'm from here down. But I still have proprioception because I can back my wheelchair up and like a dime. I know exactly where I am without looking. And so I think we need to give ourselves, our bodies and ourselves, credit for all of the things that we can do that maybe we do in an altered way, but they're still viable. So I want you to know that your body is still viable from the top, from the head to the toes. It still has a nervous system. There's still nerves there. They're cut off from communicating in a normal way to the brain, but they're not there. So I would start with that, and I would then say, when you're considering your body, always think of your body as a whole being. Never think of it as just you live from here up, because all of this is still innervated in ways that we that aren't necessarily normal, but are still there. Your blood circulates, your lymph, everything is still moving through your body. So your breath can move through your body too, and you can start to, and so can your mind, your inner eye, your inner proprioception, I call it, can be in all places in your body with trained awareness and with developed awareness. So I'd say that to that beginning part of the question, and it might seem really off the wall, but I know it to be true. I've been 17 years in the chair, and I'm a C4 complete, but I really do have a really good sense of, I can't feel outside, but I can really notice inside. So even maybe we have enhanced capacities that way because our tactile sense is not there. So I would encourage you to trust that and kind of almost like the great saying, act great, be great, and then do great. Like, give it credit before you deny it. And then the next piece to that question is pain, and the other pieces and discomfort and whatnot. Those are always going to be with us. Those are part of what we have to accept as what is part of our spinal cord injury. But in addition to pain, there's also other things that aren't painful. And so in mindfulness, we're training ourselves to take it all in, because it's really easy, like in a nervous system that is continually overwrought with pain, for that to be then this chronic thing that the sympathetic system is always attending to. So we're actually trying to help the nervous system see that there's other things that we can attend to in our body, in our state, and that those things may actually help to ameliorate the sense of always being in pain when we start to give attention and give curiosity to other ways and states that our body is in currently, which then actually leads to, being able to diffuse that pain in ways that we might not have thought of before.
So,
Thanks a lot.
Virginia had a question.
Hi, I'm Mary Jo. I just have, I have two questions. One is there any age limitation to do mindfulness? I know most of us here are adults, but if a person is under 18 years old and has spinal cord injury, can that person do mindfulness practice? That's my first question. And my second question is, when I practice mindfulness, I may fall asleep and feel sleepy. Should I let myself go to sleep or try my best to keep awake? Yeah. Thank you.
So the first question, definitely mindfulness is not age specific or limited. And actually the Dalai Lama and a group of us yoga teachers and practitioners a number of years ago began a program to bring it into the schools, and they noticed, they did research on, I think it was, we started with grade 2, but any age could be mindful, and actually, the younger the better, because really what we're teaching ourselves is to be more present with what's going on in our body and our whole being. And wow, when we're able to do that, awareness is such a key to everything functioning well, and also to us being able to know when to intervene with something that might not be feeling right. So for everybody, I'm a strong proponent, as you probably already get. So yes, it's not age limited or related. And the second part of your question is, when you allow your body to relax and to let go, it's pretty amazing what will happen with the nervous system. It's like, oh my God, thank God, finally I can, she's shut off. I can go into this restore place, which is so vitally needed. It's not wrong to fall asleep. What I would suggest, and as I said to Virginia yesterday, you probably need it. So do mindfulness before you go to sleep at night, because that'll really help you go to sleep and have a good sleep. But while we're practicing and we're upright and we're sitting, my challenge would be for you to see if you can maintain your awareness around that kind of pull in towards sleepiness. So allowing you to go into that pull towards sleepiness with awareness will actually give you the capacity to learn how to relax your body while you're conscious, while you're, in 5 minutes between a meeting where you really need to, or in a situation where you're just dyslexic and there's something, going on physically that's really difficult, or you're anxious. Then you can then apply the techniques in a situation where you really want to actually have those techniques work for you. So try to stay conscious and aware even of the sleepiness. And you'll be amazed actually how much more relaxed you will be when you wake up or when you come back out of your session.
So Paul, I believe you had a question as well. Unmute you here. or attempt to
Well, yeah, it
unmute.
wasn't so much a question. I want to go back to what John was saying about the pain thing, because it's something I recognize today more than in the past. I've been having a lot of pain in my back recently, and trying to do a bunch of different things. And today, I noticed it when you started, Mary Jo, and then kind of went through the whole process. And by the end, it was different. It was less, or I was aware of it in a different way. I don't know if I want to say it's less, but I was aware of it in a different way that was better. So I think, yeah, I'm trying to buy into this, maybe.
I would say that that's not a question, but actually a comment of acknowledgement what the process can do. It's, when we consciously relax our bodies, our mind will follow. And our mind, pain is an interesting thing. It's a whole other topic, and I won't get into a lot of depth around it. But when the mind, when we're in pain, there's a certain part in our nervous system that will trip on, and it won't turn off, because that pain, it may be chronic, and it probably is in your case. And in that case, that switch is going to be kind of tripped on. And so the only way really to trip out of that chronic, constant kind of mental framework of, this hurts, I'm in pain, I don't feel good, is to be mindful, is to actually go in and be mindful and consciously give the body permission, actually, because it thinks that it's actually doing its job. That's what the sympathetic system does. It kind of locks on because that's what it thinks it's got to do, save you from the saber-toothed tiger. So now I'm going to constantly flood you with those cortisol hormones because this aggravant isn't going away. And so we've got to get in there and kind of flip the switch, so to speak, and move out of that chronic state. So that's what you did today, Paul, and I'm so glad to hear. And I think, the more and more you can do that, the better you will be able to figure out how to work with that pain, because that would be the next level of intervention, would be then, continuing to through mindfulness, get in touch with it and consciously relax and allow your body to become relaxed. And then maybe the next thing would be to do some deep breathing into that area, or some, slow fascial stretching and release. And that will become obvious to you. Your intuition and your body will guide you when you're able to get into that place of clarity and equanimity about the pain.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome.
So I do have a couple more questions on my list too. One of them is if there's a difference between meditation with eyes open and eyes closed. Is there one way to do it correctly? Do you get different things using different strategies?
So that's a good question. I know there is a school of meditation that's eyes open meditation. I don't know, that's not my training. So my training is to close your eyes, because when we close our eyes, we actually shut the ego off a little bit, and we come into the space that we occupy inside our body. And I think both for mindfulness and meditation, that's my preferred place of being. My mind is busy enough, and when the mind has that extra sensory level of vision to take in, there's a lot of real estate in the brain that's taken up by vision. So for mindfulness particularly, we want to allow the body to actually be the louder voice in the journey. And with the eyes open, our sensory body is kind of attuned to vision, which is also very connected to the brain, sorting out what's going on, what's coming at me, where am I, how am I, all those things, who, what, where, and where, how. So for me personally, I find myself, my eyes closed is better. Having said that, if you are nervous or you feel in your wheelchair unsafe or whatever reason I for you, then I recommend your eyes half open. And with that, you kind of stop the left brain, the kind of the brain that's got to figure things out, the linear part of your brain, from doing the zeros and dots, digits, what is this, where is it, what? And it just relaxes that part of your brain, and your eyes become soft, where you don't go from this focused vision, you go into a very wide sort of binocular vision. So those would be the two ways that I would approach that.
Would you recommend, how often would you recommend exercising, doing a mindfulness exercise?
So I would highly recommend it absolutely once a day. And if you think about it, we only did not even 8 minutes of mindfulness there of actual practice time. And so really, 8 minutes is nothing when you think about, how long your day is and what we do, with other things during our day. So giving back to yourself for 8 minutes and really finding a space to nurture and really tune in to actually your physical and your mental and your emotional being is a small investment for the rewards that return. And then I think, really doing it a lot more often during the day is very approachable then. And it doesn't have to be 8 minutes. Like it really could be just a simple 2 or 3 minute check-in where you just do kind of like a cold boot. You're not doing a whole reset of your system, but you're just doing a quick little, okay, just relax here, Mary Jo. Take some time, breathe. Oh, I noticed this. Oh, I noticed that. Oh, I wonder if I sat, So you're just really doing this beautiful little reset, pausing for presence. And if you think of it in that way, you think of that term, just pausing for presence, it's very approachable to do it, more than once a day. And then maybe have one practice that's a bit longer where you really, tune into all of your senses. Let's say you take your 5 senses and you do that whole kind of sweep.
Thanks again to Mary Jo. And at this point, I just wanted to open up the discussion to see if anyone else had any thoughts, either reflections on their experience today or on their experience with mindfulness in the past, or even thoughts about what they or the community might gain from this kind of practice, and especially suggestions on what we might do in the going forward to bring something useful to the community.
Hey, Mary Jo, you know that I'm a skeptic. It's still in. Kind of a little bit skeptical and have trouble, but it was actually worked a little bit better for me today. So I think part of it has to do with there's water running off my roof, and that kind of kept me grounded where I was. So thank you. I needed this today.
Good. Thanks, Dylan. And yeah, I will speak to the skeptic piece just for a moment. It's really normal to be skeptical about this because when we slow down and when we stop, what actually is hurting and what's not, what keeps us from stopping will come up. And most of us, are, that's, I don't want to deal with that or feel that or notice the pain. That's normal. So really, applaud yourself. And I think, give yourself the benefit of the doubt that skepticism is okay and that it's normal. Everybody is around these type of techniques because we've actually been trained to do the opposite, to not notice, to carry on, to be strong, to take one more demand, to say yes to every this and that and the other thing. So this is something where you're actually giving some time to yourself to be present with everything that is, and that's not always very easy. So the skepticism part is normal, and the mindfulness piece isn't a natural piece. for us, because we're not trained habitually that way to be. So trust in the sense that that's all okay, but also trust in the research and in the results that you may have noticed today, you may not have, and that's okay. But there's definitely enough out there that you could go and do some research now on your own and look into mindfulness as, oh, well, why or what? And there's many great teachers and there's many great ways to move down this pathway. And my introduction to it is just an introduction. So I really encourage you to look in the field of information that's out there about why mindfulness is so effective and what is so effective about it. What will it help you with?
So, Mary Jo, if you don't mind, what I wanted to ask is if we are to arrange to do a session like this again, are there things you might recommend that we try during the course of the week to prepare ourselves for next week?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Sonia. I would say pause to be present. Let that be your kind of your mantra, if you will, for the next 6 or 7 days until we meet again. Pause to become present. It's just and just really notice. Just notice when you're uptight. Notice when you're relaxed. Notice when the pain is worse. Pause to become present. And in that same pausing, I would really highly recommend just taking the moment to do a deep breath in and notice that. That's it. So you've got that homework. So you can do that breath. It's called the cave breath. And they call it the cave breath from Continuum because it kind of is like it puts you in your cave. It just lets you go into that nice little cave, cozy spot where you're protected and there's not all that noise going on outside. Of course, you would do it more than just once, and maybe in that practice. But for our purposes and for just doing a pause to become present, just think of this breath, your inhale, fully filling up your lungs, and then you're kind of making a cave with your throat, and you can feel like you just made a nice little protective cave around yourself. So that would be my recommendation from now until next week.
Thank you. John, do you want to sign us off, I guess, for today?
Sure. Yeah, so we continue to be really interested in any thoughts, any feedback everyone has. I put an email address in the chat, and I know getting to the chat might be tricky if this is your first time using Zoom. The email address is SCI&U, so SCIAND, the letter U, study, that's all one word, at Toronto.ca. So once again, that's SCIANDU study at Toronto.ca. You can also see that on the Eventbrite page that you visited to register for this. Please feel free to reach out if you have any thoughts or suggestions. And I think we're going to try and make this a regular event and think about other ways that we can get these resources out to the community. So let's consider this the first, hopefully, of more meetings that we'll have together.